Hey casuals, what's going on? So I am very late for this video. My rule with pay-per-views or PLEs is probably going to be I have to record an R&R video at least a week out. I did reach that goal, but my goal is to usually have them out right after the pay-per-view, you know, the next day by morning. So these are my reactions and ratings for AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling co-promoting Forbidden Door. And of course we have Stardom and CMLL also featured in this thing. So while it's a co-promotion between the two bigger companies, these two other companies get featured as well. So again, I'm not going to do reactions for the 0 hour. Again, I'm still sticking to the main card, but the 0 hour was very fun. Shout out to Michael Oku for being okay after taking that crazy bump to the outside. But yeah, now I'm gonna say this ahead of time. There was another reason why I was late with this video, and that's because I was actually on the go at 1 o'clock when this started. The pay-per-view started earlier than usual, so forgive me if I'm not as detailed with this. I actually don't even have my written notes in front of me. I'm really purely going off of the dome. So you're gonna get a light review and my rating from there, from what I did see. But I did go back to the beginning of the main card, and I did lightly watch. And I say lightly as in because I was out shopping, I was driving, and then I came home. Yeah. But again, these are casual, you know, ratings and reviews anyway. So we're here to just chill and talk wrestling, right? So let's get into the first match. CNC versus the Matriarchy. Okay, if you don't know who these people are, CNC is, at least this is what I heard on a recent Dynamite, as like I think this is the new name for Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Adam Copeland formerly being Edge in WWE, and the Matriarchy being Kip Sabian, and the replacement for Nick Wayne being Kill Switch. And he's had his issues with Christian Cage before, so this was, you know, he was actually avoiding him for part of their match, Christian Cage. And yeah, but this told a nice little story of these teams getting into rhythm. Like, there was some forced movement, you know, by the Matriarchy. Like, Kill Switch was very aggressive with Kip Sabian, even using him as a weapon during this and forcing tags. And the question was like, hey, will Christian Cage cooperate well with Adam Copeland? And he did eventually. You know, they did like a double education move, which is really just an an impaler DDT. And I think that was kind of like a shout out to Gangrel, you know, for their time to them. At least that's how I saw it. But I did enjoy it. It was a simple opening match. We had the match end with Kip Sabian getting put up in a flapjack by Christian Cage into a spear from Adam Copeland for the 1, 2, 3. And that's it, baby. Good guys win. The Matriarchy are put behind Christian Cage. Now it's time for Adam Copeland to deal with FTR with Christian. So we'll see what happens soon with that. I believe we're expecting that match for All Out in Toronto, so be on the lookout for that. Let me see here. Our next match. Oh, sorry. Wait. Before we go to the next match, we have to rate the match. I had a lot of fun with the match, don't get me wrong. But even in my casual opinions, I gave this a 3.5. Just because, you know, I don't know. I just wasn't blown away by this. But I feel like the pairing of Copeland and Cage is really just to be fun. And, you know, to take back the years of, you know, Edge and Christian. So, hey, I still enjoyed it. Now, here's a match that was very predictable, but it was still very enjoyable. More enjoyable than I thought it was going to be, keeping it honest. We had the AEW TNT title being defended by Kyle Fletcher versus the ticking time bomb of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiromu Takahashi. And this was a very fun match, very active, very fun, very cool spots during it. And, you know, Kyle had asked for the pound for pound best in New Japan, and I love how on commentary, Bryan Danielson and the rest of commentary was really putting over that, you know, Hiromu is like typically working in the junior heavyweight division, but he works, you know, with the heavyweights too, and it turns out really, you know, good. He works well in both divisions. And I like Hiromu Takahashi. In my limited viewing of New Japan, he is a ticking time bomb. He's really cool. But they did excellent work in this match. It did go a little bit longer than I thought it would. You know, just knowing that this match was really just to, you know, get over, you know, Kyle Fletcher more. So I kind of wish it was a bit a bit shorter. But it was like, they still had a great worked match during this. So I can't be that mad at that, right? So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Great job, boys. And let's go with the next match. The AEW TBS title was defended by Mercedesmone versus Alexwindsor. We had CMLL's Persephone, and then we had Bozilla, who, now I just want to say that everyone stood out during this match. Everybody got their great work during the match, but Bozilla really got her, you know, big power moves in and really stuck out during this. And it was even, I think it was Alexwindsor and Persephone, if I'm not mistaken. Their former tag team was put over, so that was really nice. But Mercedesmone once again escaped with the belt. The match was pretty. It was worked good. I think there was a couple things I could have seen a little bit better, but hey, I still had fun with it. And at the end of the day, it's all about the fun. But for this one, I'm giving it a 3.5. Still, shout out to y'all. Great job, ladies. Going through these very quick. I just get, you know, again, I wish I'd seen, you know, more of these matches, but or not more of the match, more of the matches. I did see all of them, but anyway. Okay, this next match might not be for everybody, but I still had fun with it. We had the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship being defended by Zack Sabre Jr., the grappling master, against another grappling master, Nigel McGuinness. And you gotta love Bryan Danielson on commentary, talking about how Nigel typically, you know, coming at him for, you know, their rivalry, you know, fellow grapplers, but, you know, usually he was putting him over the whole time, despite how much crap Nigel talks about him when he's on commentary. And it was nice to see. But anyway, but aside from commentary, again, this is exactly what you expected it to be. These are two grappling masters going at it. I did have a nice little moment I liked in particular where Nigel suckered Zack in when he was playing to the crowd, like, yeah, yeah. And then, like, he dodged a sneak attack from Zack and actually, you know, took advantage of that. That was pretty cool. Rating is a little bit lower than what it could have been. I think Dave Meltzer actually rated this pretty high, which I get. He's all about, you know, the athleticism and all that, and that's cool. And I highly respect the athleticism and the smartness of this match too. So it's not getting any lower than a 3. Don't get me wrong. It's getting a 3.5 though. I like to see matches end in a finisher, and I think this match, if I'm recalling correctly, sorry, this was a week ago, but if I'm recalling correctly, this match ended on a roll-up. And this is the champ of New Japan. Like, come on, Zack. I don't know. That's just my personal feelings. I wish it ended a bit differently. But anyway, on to the next match. We had the AEW World Heavyweight Tag Team titles, not heavyweight championship. Oh my gosh. The tag team titles were defended in an awesome 3-way. Probably one of the best worked matches of the night. Defended by the Hurt Syndicate against FTR and Bandito and Brody King as Bro Dito. Title change, baby. We had the new, like, hype fan favorites, you know, bit of a Franken team, but they were put together for the tag team tournament, and there's this. I'm blown away by them. Everybody else was taken by storm by them. I'm glad they are tag champs. I love it. Couple of notes about this match, though, despite the, you know, aside from the, you know, well worked, you know, part of the match. Gates of Agony and Ricochet came down to beat on Hurt Syndicate because it's a three-way, no DQ. This was kind of weird, but didn't really take away from the match from me. I don't know. I might have rated this a little bit higher if it wasn't for... Okay, so maybe I'm lying. Maybe it did take away from the match anyway. But at the same time, it gives a reason for the belts to be changed, and also keeps Hurt Syndicate looking strong because they didn't take the pin here. FTR did. So I'm locking it in that this was for me, okay? This was a 4.5 for me. We call my stars here, we call it titles here. So 4.5 titles. Fitting that it got a tag belt on a tag match. So my tag belts are my halves, by the way, just in case you didn't know. So yeah, I was really, this was a very well worked, exciting match. See, and these are three of the best tag teams in AEW. Loved this. And speaking of love, the last 4 matches. Okay. I'm gonna try to be quick with this and not make this a horribly long video. But we next had the AEW Unified title being defended by Kazuchikaokada, defeating my boy Swervestrickland. Boo! But of course, he took advantage of his knee during this. And again, well-worked match. Swerve worked very well in this. Okada, you know, picked apart, you know, Swerve by the knee. And of course, he had to attack him after the fact. Attacking the knee, pretty much pillmanizing it between, he had the steel steps in the corner, locked into his knee in between the ring post and the steel, and then hit it with a steel chair. And then on top of that, Wardlow returns and joins the Don Callis family and beats on Prince Nana as well, after Prince Nana defended Swerve against Okada with a lead pipe. So this is written off Swerve as well, and that's not the only person we're getting written off this. But anyway, this match to me was a nice 4 out of 5. Thank you guys for a well-worked match. Swerve, heal up soon from that surgery, bro, because it's still your house. Whose house? Swerve's house. Anyway, we had the AEW World title match for the ladies. Toni Storm defeats Athena. So this was a great match, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Athena played way too much with Toni Storm during this match, and that's why it's not any higher than a 4 for me. Otherwise, we still had the dramatic comeback by Toni Storm defending her belt once again, and I don't have anything bad to say about that. You gotta love the makeup and costume she came out as well. I believe it was a Hunger Games reference. I don't remember the character's name. Sorry about that. I am an uncultured swine. But the makeup and the costume looked great. The match was great. Thank you, ladies, for an amazing match. I love Athena. And you gotta love how Toni Storm dealt with the Billy Starks problem really quickly in the match. But Billy once again got involved later and gave Athena a chance to hit the O-face on the ropes. But our champ, Toni Storm, fought back and submitted Athena. So, no double champ status for Athena, unfortunately. Sorry. Okay, now, this is technically the main event, technically not, because we have a lights out match. But we'll get to that. The lights out match went last because obviously it's a lights out match. So this is technically our main event, technically not. But anyway, we had the AEW World Title match between the main character of AEW versus the main villain, the antagonist, the devil, MJF, and a crazy 30-minute plus match. You gotta love the character work here. Gotta love the match. Gotta love the work. I was blown away once again, and you know what? I was so blown away that I'm gonna give this a 5 casual title match. Of 5 casual titles to this match because it was very well worked. MJF and Adam Page worked so well together, in ring, like physically and character. Like there were times where MJF, tried to goad, Adam Page into, getting DQ'd because the belt can change on a DQ or a count out. And this whole thing didn't count for Max's Casino Gauntlet contract. So, yeah. What else was cool about this? I really liked that it took some effort to put away MJF, and because he's not just the smarmy, cowardly heel he is. He's a great in-ring worker, right? He got hit with a dead eye and a buckshot lariat to close the match. And of course, during this whole thing, he's, I guess, technically cheating, even though this was not like an actual no DQ match. It was the belt can change hands on DQ, but there was also the spot kind of reminiscent of their other match from AEW Revolution, I think it was, where they were both spitting back and forth in each other's faces. I know it's gross, but Adam had a moment where he kind of called back that and spit in his face and said, "No, I'm not cheating." I think it was when he was offered the Dynamite Diamond ring to MJF, but he didn't take it. He didn't get goaded, and he put the bad guy away like the hero he is. So great job, Adam Page. I love that we have some cowboy still as our champion. Awesome. Speaking of people that are deserving to be champion of AEW, we've got to talk. This whole thing was in London, right? And I just loved how this lights out steel cage match went. So as you know, or may not know, but Will Ospreay is, we're not entirely sure what the extent of his neck issues are, but he's expecting to have surgery in real life, and that's how he's been playing it in kayfabe. So he wants one more big match to go out on before he has to get cut on, and who knows how he'll come back. He was played out by his music. He climbed the cage for the whole, I'm glad he didn't do his whole little hand sign thing up on top of the cage. That would have been crazy, leaning against that cable. But he climbs the cage coming in. Before this, he was introduced by a nice little promo segment by Alexwindsor, his real life wife, which was super cool to see. It was very sweet. But before that, before he came out, the rest of his team came out, and we had the Golden Lovers, my boy Kenny Omega. I'll say this too, my boy Kota Ibushi, because he is one of the people I adored in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now in AEW. We had Hiroshitanahashi, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And despite being limited as he is, he worked so much during this match. And of course, we already mentioned Will Ospreay and crazy freaking Darby Allin on one side. And then the Death Riders. And it was announced, I think, a day ago that Gabe Kidd is actually an official member of the Death Riders now, despite being their mercenary from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And yeah, so we had Gabe Kidd, we had the Death Riders of jonmoxley and Claudio Castagnoli, along with the Jobber Young Bucks, who also had another failed entrance during this match. Anyway, there were a lot of crazy spots during this match, just a couple of highlights. There were at least 2 moments where Hiroshi old self actually ran wild. Gotta love him doing his little guitar, you know, hitting high fly flow. For the win, by the way, just spoiling the ending real quick, he was the one that got the pin during the match. But there were other exciting moments too. Some fun, goofy moments too. Don't want to give everything away. I highly encourage you, go watch the replay on this on Amazon Prime, please. What else happened during this match? The Death Riders being the sickos they were. Jon Moxley, okay, this part's kind of gross, but at some point in the match, Darby Allin's ear like gets cut or injured or whatever. I don't know, might have been a blade job, I have no idea. But he then gets a fork stuck into his ear after being tied to a steel chair and with duct tape, and Jon Moxley, them and their beef, you know, gets rekindled, and he sticks a freaking fork through his ear. Oh, that was gross. It reminded me of the whole Randy Orton thing in WWE when he was twisting the screwdriver around Jeff Hardy's gauges. It was gross. It was bloody. Anyway, there were some cool combo moves by 2 of my AEW faves. Former rivals, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. That was cool. There was a very funny spot. Let me get to the funny spots. There was one time where the Bucks requested for tags to be underneath the ring, but there were no tags. They were gummy bears in that bag. At one point, they got some of the gummy bears fed to them too, so that was kind of funny. We had another funny moment where Tanahashi's old self was about to climb the ladder and jump on some of the Death Riders, and the guys were encouraging him. It was like, no, you're the president. Think about your livelihood. Like, don't do it. And Will Ospreay instead, he climbs a cage and does a moonsault onto everybody. It was crazy. It was insane. Oh my gosh. Darby Allin at one point gets thrown into the freaking cage. What else happened? So much happened during this match. It was a very dramatic and character-filled, you know, storyline. It was full of, you know, great work. And in the end, like I said earlier, there was a nice, I think there was one combination between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega hitting a V-trigger hidden blade combo, and then the end of the match was them hitting a one-winged angel hidden blade combination. So I love when people can combine their finishers. It just makes me nerd out for pro wrestling so much. I am a dork, I know, but I love that. And then Tanahashi went up to hit high fly flow for the 1, 2, 3. Now, of course, we get the long dramatic send-off for Will Ospreay after the good guys leave the cage. For some reason, the cage is locked again. And the Death Riders come back in, beat down Will horrendously, probably re-injuring or further injuring his neck. And they have this long dramatic scene afterward where all the good guys, they try to rush back in. Even the ops come back out, try to fend off the Death Riders. They hurry and run and they scurry off with the Bucks, and that's it, they're gone. Will Ospreay is unfortunately written off of TV, but best of luck to him in whatever surgery or rehab or whatever he needs to go through for his proper healing. This match got a 5 out of 5 casual titles from your boy. Let me know what you guys thought about AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. I loved it this year. Sorry this is so late, but again, I want to try to have them, if I'm late, by the same week that the pay-per-view aired, or the PLE in WWE's case. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I love you. Enjoy pro wrestling. And of course, guys, for the love of pro wrestling, keep it casual.